So my character's the authority challenger. She's very jaded, very raw, but very, very emotional, intense. And her sort of niche as a witch is she's a healer or a fixer.
And her name is?
Rael Collar. I play Rael Collar.
No, yeah. And I'm playing Sola Ramshorn, who is also sort of, we got that in common, to be an authority questioner, so to say, and on different levels.
Yeah, I think that's what bonds us.
Yeah.
I mean, all the decisions we make have been affecting everybody outwards. You're having the ripple effect. So all of the danger that I've been chasing, because I know that it's something that's not good for me, but it's the one thing I get to myself, it's impacting everybody in really unfortunate ways.
Yes, and my character's got a very hard time of opening up, and just to see how Rael struggles with trying to get her to do that is also...
Yeah, it causes friction in the
Yes.
relationship. There's a lot of hurdles that we go through. So we learned how to do...
Rope dart?
Yeah, it's an ancient Chinese martial art that was used for poor farmers because they couldn't afford guns or whatever it be. So they would attach daggers to the end of a rope. And so we kind of took our own adaptation on that and incorporated that into Motherland. Yeah, and it's...
And I mean, my character, Scylla, she's, her part of the military is necro, so she works with the dead. A lot out in the woods, kind of, it's about the circle of life and death. And so therefore it's very much like, it's very organic, or what you would say, like biological work.
Mm-hmm.
But I snuck in on their stunt training because I was just so excited. So I got to learn a lot of rope dart too.
What Elliot did was so beautiful. It was so much more true to Wiccan culture, so much more authentic. You know, the celebration of sex and that it shouldn't be shamed for women, and that gender role reversal, and you see that even in sort of like the women objectifying the men a little bit. So it's very, very interesting
and the
spin.
other women, of course, because this is an alternate universe where there are no heteronorms. So you're not really queer because there's no norm to be queer about. You're just, finding your connection.
What we were talking about earlier, like a conversation we were having, is just that as long as you keep picking out, pointing out differences and diversity, there will always be differences. It's when you see it with a neutral eye. So that's, I think, composed very, very beautifully within our series. All of their decisions are impacting people. So everything that I make out of, like, you know, being desperate or reckless or just desperately trying to love you, it's impacting my group, my unit, and it's more about my individual success and more about the relationship than it should be more so about team strategy. And I'm not using my resources to help cope with pain. I start turning it inward. So it's touching base on like mental health and grief and stuff that, you know, use your resources.
Much, yeah, and also my character's kind of shut off the world from impacting her. She's got her mission. She's an idealist and she's just fighting for what some would say the end. But when there is a truthful and authentic and very deep connection, then all of a sudden she's questioning and starting to have other priorities. And as a passionate person, she's now falling passionately in love, maybe. And that may have a big impact on the world.
You see several characters, though, throughout the development of the story start to question their own motives and become very conflicted. And you start to see more and more mistrust. Like as the characters find out more about each other, they question who they're trusting and who really is the bad or the good guy.